Hey everyone, it's me and my cat Charlie. And I want to talk to you a little bit about this week's not reading. It is a movie this week. It's kind of a movie, kind of a documentary. You'll see when you watch it. But I do want to tell you a little bit about it to give you a little heads up on what to pay attention to. Okay, so this week the movie is called A Midwife's Tale. It is based on this very important historical book called A Midwife's Tale, also, ironically enough. It's about the life of Martha Ballard, who was, in fact, a midwife between the time of 1785 to 1812, okay? So that's the time span of the book, okay? It's by a very important historian, women's historian, named Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, okay? Well, and the interesting thing about the film is that you get to learn about Martha Ballard, the subject, the historical subject of this book, but you also get to learn about Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, the historian's process. She's actually in the film throughout. She narrates a little bit, and you see her working with primary sources that she used, and also this kind of very intricate way she documented her sources to organize it. So I love this film. It's a little on the old side, but I really, really like it because you get to see the interaction. Oh, Charlie's gonna leave. Bye, Charlie. Between the historian as well as her subject and the sources. It's fascinating. I love it, love it, love it. So I hope you like it too. Okay, a little bit about Laurel Thatcher Ulrich before I tell you about the book a little bit, or the film/book. Okay, so everyone's heard the quote, well-behaved women don't make history, right? And it's kind of become this idea that we should be rebellious and we should go out and change the world to better for women, right? Right? Everyone's heard that quote, I'm sure. Well, that quote is by Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, but it has been misinterpreted by society. And so I kind of want to explain it from her perspective to kind of give you a different perspective, because I also agree that misbehaved, or women that misbehave, kind of make history, and that we should be constantly striving for equality in all aspects, in race, sexuality, right? All these things we can learn about how people have have tried to create equality, right? But Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, when she said this quote, she actually didn't say it, she wrote it. She wrote it at the beginning of an article. And she wasn't actually talking about the fact that women should, be rebellious in order to make history. She was actually talking about more about the discipline of history, about the fact that historians only study women who have done, have misbehaved, per se, by being rebellious, by fighting for suffrage or equal pay or all of these things, right? And she's claiming that, in fact, historians should also be paying attention to women who have lived in the past that were not misbehaving, that were living life as society expects them to, and participating in community, and being a mother, and being a wife, or being a midwife, right? So all of these, expects historians to go out. She was calling for historians to go out and to study these quote-unquote ordinary women, because there's very little record of them in the documents, so it's a difficult thing to do. But if we try, we can find these documents and we can write their history. So we know a little bit more about women that were just living life and surviving, right? And that is really what she's doing in this book and in the film, as you can see. She's writing about this woman who lived a fairly ordinary life in the 18th and 19th centuries, right? At the end of the 18th and the beginning of the 19th century. She was a midwife, she was a mother, she was part of her community, she was a wife. We learn about her husband in this film and his life. And we learn about it all through this diary she writes. And this diary is very important to the study of history because of what Laura Thatcher Ulrich has done with it. She has taken it and meticulously read it and then also kind of diagrammed it to understand this entire community that this woman was living in. So, interesting thing though about this diary, oftentimes when we think of modern day diaries, we think of these very emotional pieces of writing, right? That they're, kind of like a picture into a person's soul, and that they express their loves and their hates and what's happening in their lives from a very emotional standpoint. Well, Martha Ballard's diary is a little different. It's more of a clear and concise kind of plan or details of what's happening, but not very emotional. It's typically, it tells the weather. So when you hear she's going to read a lot from this diary, and it often starts with clear, meaning like the day is clear and calm, or snow or rain. So she always talks about the weather, and then she talks about things she did. If she helped a woman give birth, if she worked in her garden, if she helped her daughters knit or sew or whatever. So it's a very rather unemotional diary that kind of gives us a picture into her day-to-day life. She talks about her family, she talks about her occupation as a midwife, and she talks about her community as well. We learn a lot about the community she lives in and how she's interacting within that community, in terms of the doctor, as well as in terms of other women she's dealing with, and the minister, and all these things. So, when you're watching this film, think about how she's using this diary. Ulrich is using the diary to get a picture into this particular woman's life, but also to understand, quote-unquote, ordinary women of this time period. Like, what kind of things they had to do to survive. What did their day-to-day life look like? All of these things, okay? I really hope you enjoy it. It is a little on the old side, so it's not very technologically savvy or anything like that, but I really love it, and Laurel Thatcher Ulrich's part in it I think is so fantastic. So I really hope you enjoy it. You get a little reprieve from reading this week, so enjoy the film, and I will see you all next week. Bye!